I'm Egbert, the owner of this station. Check out my website at egbert.com. That's EGGBURT, egbert.com. Now it's back to Brad and John. Check out their website at bjshow.co. The BJ Show? Come on, guys. Anyway, here's B and J.
A little bit of background for those of you listening in the future, not live, but listening in the future. We're talking about a debate that happened on Thursday night, July 11th, the governor's debate, which was held at Parkway West Senior High School in West St. Louis County, which I showed up to. As I walked in the door, John, I got a handbill. Two guys are handing it. Says, "Hey, this is information on John Ashcroft." Okay, so I took it. Guess what? It's a hit piece. Okay, you ready for this?
On J. Ashcroft.
Yeah, I say John Ashcroft. John Ashcroft. Okay. First paragraph. On various occasions, he has claimed he has an engineering degree, was an engineer, and was a professor of engineering. None are true. In fact, he failed out of the Merchant Marine Academy engineering program. Have you ever heard this before?
Yeah, that's been a line of attack against him since his first state senate run.
Okay, Ashcroft first refused to admit why he left the Merchant Marine Academy. Later, when he pressed, he claimed he separated. More recently, Ashcroft admitted he flunked out of the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy's engineering program and that he failed to compensate taxpayers as required. If failed to keep and I'm reading this, there's some mistakes in this. I'm trying to correct as I go. If you fail to keep a commitment of 5 years in the Merchant Marines. Is that true as well, too?
I haven't fact-checked it, but I know that allegation has been around for quite a while, yeah?
Well, they go on the fact that he's not an engineer. But it's interesting because Ashcroft, alluded to this in his debate performance a couple times. And quite honestly, I have to be honest with you, I still don't know. This is me. I don't know if he's got an engineering degree or not. Because
he has an engineering degree from University of Missouri, Rolla.
Yeah, but the interesting thing about it, it's not an engineering degree. It's supposedly, this is what people have said, it's a degree in engineering management. It's not necessarily an engineering degree per se. Get what I'm saying?
Sure. I get that. If there's a distinction there, I get that.
Well, maybe we're because I think
it's kind of splitting hairs.
Yes,
right?
I
guess the Kehoe and Eigel people would say it's not splitting hairs.
Right.
And by the way, the Missouri Times has a piece up today where it goes into exactly the degree, what he did out of college, where he went after college, and then the claims he's made about being an engineer.
Okay.
So,
big picture.
Folks can read it, and I don't know if this kind of thing is important to you, and I know people for whom this kind of thing is important, then you care about it. But if this kind of thing is important to you, you probably weren't crazy about Jay Ashcroft from the beginning.
Well, no. I think it's because here's the problem. The problem is that he bases a lot of what he says. Well, I'm an engineer. That would be like me saying, I'm a former Miss America contestant. People go like, first off, he's a dude, and second off, he's an ugly dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not the same, but I get what you're saying.
Right.
But what the Ashcroft campaign has said, and as I understand it, as Scott Fawn said on this midweek update yesterday, which was on Thursday, Brad, so it's very close to the middle of the week, Jason Cable-Rowe, who's Jay's campaign manager, did a successful campaign in Michigan, and the guy whose campaign he managed in Michigan ran on the slogan of "one tough nerd." So Scott's theory is that Jason Cable-Rowe kind of looked at Jay, and Jay, you could probably put Jay into that type of box, and that Jason looked at it and said, okay, we're going to lean into the engineering thing, and that's what he's doing.
Well, okay, but here's the thing. Now, you're probably gonna roll your eyes when I say this. He said something last night that I didn't know about him. You know what that is?
I have no idea.
He's also
that he owns a treadmill.
No, that he's also an attorney. I didn't know that. Again, I never heard that. No, he never talks about it. I'm an attorney. Now, here's the interesting thing. For me, he's missing the point. He up there and say, hey, look at the two other people on the stage. I'm not only an engineer, I'm an attorney. I understand how the legal system works because you know what? I'm part of the legal system. I have a JD, and you people complain that I'm not on the official list of public, professional registration. Well, you know what? I'm registered with the Missouri Bar Association.
And do you think, Brad, people are inclined to vote for somebody once they figure out we could send yet another attorney to the governor's mansion?
But see,
lawyers have a really high approval rating among voters, Brad. Everybody wants to have more lawyers in their life.
Well, but if that were the case, John, I will disagree with what you said. If that were the case, we wouldn't have every other person in the Congress, in the U.S. Congress and Senate, being an attorney. So in other words, you may say we don't like them, but, okay, Josh Hawley, an attorney. Go through the whole list. John Kennedy, attorney.
I thought you said Josh Hawley was a pirate.
He has his pirate shoes on.
What else did you notice at the debate, Brad? Let's get back to that.
Okay, big picture stuff, okay? 97-1 and the St. Louis County Republican Committee.
Republican Central Committee, yeah, Franklin County, and I believe the St. Louis or the Missouri Young Republicans were also a sponsor as well.
Right, and Jefferson County as well, too. Okay, I don't know how much the radio station 97-1 had to do with this, but it was very well done. And Annie-Frey, she kicked it to a new level. I'm telling you, instead of having her and Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, whatever her name is, they need Annie-Frey. She was excellent. I mean, on a scale of 1 to...
I'm not surprised by that, though, Brad.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say she was 11. And by the way, not tough in the eyes either as well, too. But the interesting thing was, now you're going to think, what was the thing? What was this? He said that the guy who ran Eigel's, or not Eigel, Jay Ashcroft's campaign, what he said about the guy, what was the campaign slogan?
One tough nerd.
One tough nerd. Okay. Listen, let me tell you this. Listen carefully. I'm a guy who goes to a lot of events where they have, where they're, chamber events and things like that. There's one thing that you don't want to have at the events, which they don't have at the big boy events, like the big Biden press conference last night. And you know what it is?
Chicken fingers.
Wired microphones.
Oh, wow.
They had a terrible time with the wireless microphones. Terrible time. And how many times have I gone to events, Chamber of Commerce events, where, the speaker gets up there and says, and why would I take everybody? You know what I mean? And that's what kept happening all night long. Okay, here's my advice. Grab some long XLR cables, plug in some Shure SM58s. They're incredible microphones. They're only $100 a piece. Screw the stupid wireless microphones because they never work right. I'm sorry. They're junk, and everyone, wireless microphone. I don't own a wireless microphone on purpose because they're unreliable. I mean, to me, they're just like, okay, no thanks.
Do you own a phone that allows you to turn off notifications when you're on the air?
I do, but
you do? Okay.
I
didn't know if you own one of those.
I don't turn off notifications. John's making fun of me again.
I'm not making fun of you. I just noticed the phone ringing while we're on the air.
Okay, so John's making fun of me. So you know what that means? It's time to play...
John that can proofread, dude, I don't ever want John proofreading my stuff. John Combest can catch a proofreading error at 70 yards like a sniper. That dude, he knows, and don't question him. If you write something and John Combest corrects it, don't argue. He's right, you're wrong. If John corrects you, thank him publicly.
So what do you think of that, John?
That was a very kind and thoughtful thing for Scott Vaughn to say, and I really appreciate it.
Boy, he gave us all sorts of credit on the Crystal Quaid thing, which...
Yeah, that was really... And by the way, real quick, let me be solipsistic here, Brad, and make this all about me for a second. Scott Vaughn knows the key. If you have to deal with John Combest, Scott Vaughn gives you the key to dealing with me in his midweek update, and the timestamp of that is exactly at 42 minutes and 30 seconds. If you ever think, I don't want John to call me a seat warmer, how could I avoid that? I don't want John to continuously beat me like a rented mule. How could I avoid that? Scott Vaughn gives you the secret at 42:30. Okay, The solipsism is over, Brad. Continue.
What is that word again?
Solipsism.
Can you spell that for me?
Like you picture a hot chick posting pictures of herself on Instagram.
Yeah.
They can make everything about her.
Right.
Like she does a collage of her family, and like 3 of them are her kids to be like, oh my God, my kids. And then the 4th one is her like arching her back, or like, that camera angle girls do from above. Like she's marketing herself to women. I'm sorry, she's marketing herself to men. That's solipsism, Brad. Making everything about you.
How do you spell that?
SOLIPISM. And we've talked about it probably roughly our 50th show. I believe we talked about solipsism.
John is one of these guys that he's way too smart to be in the radio business.
That is not true. That is not true, Brad.
You have to have, like me, for the past 51 years in the radio business, I have been working every day on getting into triple-digit IQs.
Well, you and I together are probably at triple digits, Brad.
Every single day. Okay, moving on.
Crystal Quaid, you're right. And Scott gave us a nice shout-out about Crystal Quaid. And did you hear his tease about the Crystal Quaid interview that he has coming up?
Well, he's going to confront her with that, he said.
I wouldn't call it a confrontation. I would say that, and you know what? I checked my email yesterday, though, Brad. I haven't gotten a thank you note from Show Missouri Truth yet that says, Brad and John, thank you. You saved us a lot of embarrassment. You improved our operation. It's still early in this campaign. Thank you, John. And I haven't gotten one of those notes. Have you, Brad?
No, I have not. Okay.
Oh, that's surprising. Go ahead.
Couple other things from the debate. We'll leave it alone. I was standing in the press section taking pictures right next to Scott Rosenbaum. And you know what? I think Scott...
Is that Jason's brother, Scott Rosenbaum?
Here we go again.
And is he related to Scott Rosenblum, who if you're drinking and driving at 3 a.m. and you crash into a building and your name's Leonard Little, he can get you off?
I'm having a bad day, John. Excuse me. Okay, Jason Rosenbaum, who I think now is embarrassed by me. I don't think he likes me anymore. I think me complimenting, he seemed very off-putting when hey, Jason, how you doing? And I took a picture of him, and he didn't make a smile or anything like that.
Well, you're never known for being inside your head and manufacturing issues that don't exist, Brad. Go ahead.
Boy, John's just full of it.
It's Friday, Brad. You're in a good mood. I'm in a good mood. Go ahead.
You're full of it this morning. I don't think Jason was real happy. And I tag him on things and he never responds. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3, I met 2 interesting guys, one of which I can't remember his name. He's the campaign manager for man, isn't this bad? Do I sound
Is
like...
it Scott Rosenbaum?
No, it's not. Okay, he's the campaign manager for Mary Elizabeth Coleman. Great big dude.
Oh, Seth York.
Yes, he's great.
Oh, he's awesome. Seth is fantastic.
But he's a very large man that looks like if he hugged you, he could squeeze your brains out of your head, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. That's why I don't hug him.
Right, nice guy. And then I probably had a 20-minute conversation as I'm leaving with Kris Cook. You know who that is?
Oh, yeah, Chris is fantastic.
Right, and he's a relatively young guy. He told me he's 31 years old.
Yeah.
And he is the campaign manager for or what's his job with
Ann Wagner.
Ann Wagner, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what his title is, but I think he runs the show in terms of campaign stuff for her, yeah.
Right. And had a very good conversation with both of them. And the interesting thing was Kris Cook, according to what he said, and when people say, oh, I listen to your show all the time, sometimes they go, no, you don't. Well, he starts spouting things back at me that you and I talked about. I'm thinking to myself, this guy does listen to our show.
Yeah, he's terrific. And he's got a long history of service in D.C. and here for the conservative cause.
Really? What did he do in D.C.? Because he's a young guy. He's like, as he told me.
Yeah, I believe he worked for the Republican Policy Committee. And Chris, apologies if I get that wrong. But he did a lot of policy work. So he was on not just the political side, but also like the real I guess you could, I don't know if you could call it sausage making, but the real hard work of actually getting policy done for Republicans up there.
Now, here's the last thing, and John's going to make fun of me for this. When I first get there, I walk in, and I'm on the upper level. If you ever been to Parkway West of their theater, it's like
I have not. No.
It's like a traditional bold kind of theater, and the floor you walk in on, which is the main level, you're like on the mezzanine, okay, and then you have to go down a set of steps to get into the where the seats are like theater stadium kind of seating. Who do I run into? I walk right in the area there, and I run into Bill Eigel, and Bill Eigel glad hands me. We have a nice handshake, and he says, "Hey, Brad, when are you going to get me on your show?" And I said to him, John's not going to like this.
Oh, I know exactly what this is going to be.
And I said, hey, Bill, I'd love to have some of your advertising on my radio station. Remember, I'm a small guy, independently owned. And here you're running all these ads on all these stations owned by these out-of-town companies in Philadelphia, in New York, and in Minneapolis, St. Paul. And he's like sort of laughing. And he says, you need to talk to this guy. And who does he introduce me to? Mr. Lembke.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Jim Lembke.
Yes. So, of course.
Now, I'm not going to give you a hard time about that, Brad. Now, here's what I would give you a hard time about. If instead of having that conversation with him face-to-face, you mailed him a postcard to a P.O. box and then you complained about it. Okay, that's the last thing I'm going to make fun of you for all week, Brad. And what did Jim have to say?
John, we still have 23 more minutes of the show left.
I know. It's going to be hard.
Right. You've got a ways to go as far as...
You've had a hell of a week, and my whole thing is, you kick them while they're down, Brad. Like, what's a better time to kick somebody than when they've spent a week at doctor's offices, right?
Okay, let me see. Brad's, this is the therapy show yesterday. Okay, yesterday morning, the way it normally works is I get off the air and immediately go and I chop up the show and I put it on, and then John does the finishing touches on the show because, as Scott Vaughn says, he's the ultimate editor, and usually almost every day after I do all my editing and put the stuff on the website and YouTube, John will text me, there's a mistake in segment B, so I go back and fix it. Okay, so yesterday morning, Tuesday and Wednesday, I had my youngest son taking to doctors and hospital visits. My youngest son is I think finally has see a light at the end of the tunnel as far as his health concerned. But that's a whole other story. Okay. Yesterday I had a court appearance, and I won't say what it's about, but I had to get out of here, and I put on my lawyer's uniform, and I went to the St. Charles County Courthouse. Okay. If you ever been to the St. Charles County Courthouse right there?
I have been there, yeah.
Okay. What's sort of interesting is you get on the elevator. The main entrance where you go through Checkpoint Charlie is on floor 2. Okay. So when you get in the elevator, you got to remember you're on floor 2. So the courtroom I was going was on floor 3. So we're waiting for the elevator. There's a bunch of people, and a bunch of people get on the elevator, and I'm the last guy on the elevator, and I walk into the elevator, and there's a guy pushing buttons, and he's saying, what floor? And somebody's saying 4, somebody's saying 5. I say 3. He doesn't press 3. And the elevator,
snap.
The elevator starts to go up. I said, 3, can you punch 3? And he looks me straight in the eye, and he says, do you know there are steps that go up to the 3rd floor?
Oh, wow. Now, what about, does he know the fact that, you're 89 years old?
And I had a heart attack last month. No, he doesn't know that. But I thought to myself, at first I'm thinking to myself, okay, butthead, I could turn it around and say, well, if you're Mr. Stairmaster, why don't you walk the steps up to the 4th or 5th floor, whatever you're... But
now, wait, hold on, Brett. Was he an actual elevator operator, or was he just a dude that was just happened to be on the elevator?
Dude, he's just some smart donkey dude. You know what I mean? I get it. And he's one of these guys probably, hey, I'm going to the gym today, and matter of fact, I don't drive to the gym, I run to the gym backwards.
And by the way, it's very lookist of him because he doesn't know your medical state by looking at you. And I bet he wouldn't have said that if you were a big tub of lard and you had to squeeze into the elevator. He wouldn't have said that to you.
The interesting thing was, I said to him, you saw me, pulling around my IV pole with the IV track checked into my leg, into my arm. The stairs won't handle my IV pole.
That's right.
No, but you know how you get into situations like that and you think, I wish I would have said this. You know what my favorite, are you a Wayne's World guy?
Never seen it.
Oh, okay. There's a classic line. There's all sorts of classic lines in Wayne's World where Wayne says, a sphincter says what?
Oh, yeah. I'm familiar with that.
And normally the person says, what? And you do it again. Sphincter says what? What? Thank you. Okay.
I guess we learned that when you get on an elevator, you should ask a man if he's ever seen your pole. And then the guy might create a special clothing line for kids 5 to 12 years old. That's not creepy.
John, hold on a minute. Hold on. You can't hear this. Hold on a minute. I'll do this.
I don't even know where to start from all of the things that have been said that are just wrong.
Okay.
Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's Combest. John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?